Myles, you guys always talk about setting your tone, playing your pace. The first halves of both these games, you haven't get off to a great start. Just kind of what things do you think you can do better to sort of establish your pace from the get go better?
Physicality is a big part of the series. You know what I mean? I think that we got to establish ourselves physically, just as they've done. See what's going to get called, see what's not going to get called, and see how the overall tone of the game is going. And it's got to be a much better collective effort, I think, defensively. I think we did a little bit of a better job in that first half, but it's got to be 4 quarters of sustained defense.
Second row, David.
Myles, does the lack of activity on defense then translate to not getting out and doing the things you guys normally do offensively?
Yeah, of course. Force them to a miss. You grab the ball, get out in transition, and play our best basketball. But if we're having to take the ball out every single time or fouls, slows down our offense, obviously. So, just finding more and more ways to mix it up defensively.
Y'all have seen every defense in the world against Ty, so I know that this is not new. It's just maybe being done a little bit better. But how do you make them pay if they're going to commit so much ball movement and man movement to trying to keep him out the paint?
I think with Tyrese, there's plenty of formulas to get him going. I don't think that we executed well enough. There's things that we went over in our game plan that I don't think we executed well enough today. So we'll get him in the paint, and I think that we've been one of the better teams scoring in the paint all year, and we have to establish that early. I think we only had 4 or 6 points in the paint in the first half, and that's not Pacers basketball. It's when you live and die by that three, or mid-range shots. It doesn't always fare well for you.
Second row, Vinny.
Myles, 2 of the themes has been physicality and Tyrese. Are those 2 things kind of interrelated? Can you guys be more physical offensively to spring him, play more physical without, I guess, drawing offensive fouls and everything else? Or is there some correlation between those 2 things?
Yeah, it's a battle. I think that, screening is just, there's an art to it, you know what I mean? You have to be able to, set the guy up. Someone like Dort or Caruso, they fight over screens well. So it's just it's a matter of timing it, a matter of being on the same page. And, there's off-ball actions, there's flares, there's plenty of stuff you can do, to get them going. But, again, I don't think we did a good enough job executing on it.
Any other questions for Myles? Let's go here.
Myles, you mentioned the points in the paint in the first half, and you personally got rolling a little bit near the basket in the third quarter. What are they doing so well that is limiting you guys there? How can you get rolling the way you guys want to go there?
As you've seen, they have a swarm mentality. Keep everybody out the paint. They sell out to the paint. They're willing to give up a multitude of shots. Threes, mid range, whatever it is, so we don't get in the paint. So now it's just about making a decision and getting there. I think that. There's ways to break down the defense. I think that, at times easier said than done, but I think we have a formula that we have to execute on. And, again, we just did not do a good enough job of that tonight.
First row all the way to the left.
You do take one, split these games here in OKC. Did you head home? Did you take any solace in that? I guess heading home, getting ready for Game 3. What kind of mindset do you take heading home with that?
I just know Gainbridge is going to be rocking, man. I just, I love our environment. You give credit where credit's due. This is a great playoff environment. I think Oklahoma City, they did a great job of showing out, with their fans and whatnot. And I expect it to be a lot louder in Indianapolis. I know how long this city has been waiting, for this finals experience, and they're gonna show up.
Last question, Tim.
Myles, elite scorers are going to do what they do no matter how well you play them. You can't really stop them. But how frustrating is it that even when you play Shea well, he gets 34, and then the bench guys do what they do? Just how distressing is that? Because the defense on Shea was not bad tonight. Mm-hmm. He got what Shea got.
Yeah, that's just it. You said he's the MVP for a reason. He's gonna get off, and I think that. We've accepted that. It's a matter of slowing them down and limiting the role players. A few of their guys, stepped up tonight. I think the Wiggins had a great game. Caruso, he did what he had to do. It's a lot of limiting their role players and making it tougher on them at least.
Thanks, Myles.
All right.